Welcome to the Garage USA. I'm Jonathan Brinke, and today I'm going to show you how to build this Outroad adult trike. Thanks for joining me. So my wife has been doing really good on her weight loss. She's decided that she wanted to start riding a bike. However, she was not feeling real confident on a two-wheeled bicycle. So we went ahead and got this trike. It is by Outroad. I'll put a link in the description down below. And I will show you how to assemble this. This is not the easiest thing to assemble. It took me a couple of days. And the basket, I did not assemble. This one, my nephew Matt put it together because it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to put together. But the trike itself, not too bad. Basket is a huge pain. But let's go ahead and take a look at that assembly. Alright, so there's the box that it comes in. It's 61 pounds. It says it is purple, and it has one item in it. So we will open this up. Apparently it's fragile. And there's an umbrella inside it. I don't know. I don't know what that means. But it is pointed in the right direction, this way up. And no fancy knives. But yeah, so that is the box that it's in. You have to open carefully to avoid damaging the product. I said one piece, and it is purple. I'm using a little razor blade here. Cut the tape. Well, looks like this box actually has some staples in it too. Alright, so let's take a look and see what's inside. Alright, I see a couple of tires, that's good. I see some purple fenders, so that's good as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all unpacked. There's another tire, that makes it 3. So that's good since it's a trike. Okay, so I'm going to get all these parts out of the box here and see what we have. Alright, so we've got 3 fenders, 3 rims and tires. There is the basket, the handlebars, and the seat. And then inside the box, I still have the frame, and it's probably the subframe in there for that trike. So we'll go ahead and get the rest of this out and get all these parts unwrapped. Alright, give you a quick look at the frame here. It's actually a really nice purple, so my wife will like that. We've got the chain guard and those 3 fenders, so it's not too bad. It says fashion bike. Hey, you know it's made in China. Okay, Outroad. So we'll go through the assembly here. Alright, so after making sure that all the parts are in the package, this is the rear, I call it a subframe, they call it the rear axle. So you do want to put your tires on this rear axle according to the instructions. And this is the right side. It's got a little notched attachment here. And you just want to make sure that you are putting the correct wheels on the correct side. So we'll go ahead and install these wheels. So I'll take this off here. And like I said, it's got that fitting there, goes onto that side here. Then put the washer on. And put this back on. Alright, so that's the right side. I just need to do the left side. This one is just round on both sides, so there's no fitting. It's just going to slide over that other axle, and then you just twist it on. And there's that side. The washer, and then this cap. Alright, so those are now both attached to this rear, I call it a subframe, they call it an axle, so rear axle. So that part is done. Just gonna make sure these are snugged up. And now the next step is to attach this to the frame. Alright, now on the frame itself, there's this little bar here. You want to remove that along with this plastic piece. And then the same on the rear axle. You just want to remove this and pull this out, because then these are going to connect together. And there's little nuts and bolts. There's some on the frame back here, one here, there's one here, and then there's ones here. So you'll bolt all that together to connect the frame and the axle together. I'll go ahead and remove this here. Alright, so with that removed, then we can get this frame and rear axle connected. Just need to take these off. And then you don't want to tighten these, you just want to have them snug, because you may need to make adjustments to get the chain on here. Okay, that's off. I got some crickets in my garage that are driving me freaking crazy. Alright. Alright, the next step is to put the chain on the bike. Alright, I just need to connect that master link in here. Okay, and then the chain guard. There is a screw on the frame right there. And then if you go back here, there's a screw here. And so then we mount the chain guard right there. The next step is to put this front wheel on. Alright, so you're going to start out by putting these brackets onto the fender. It just screws in. Now once you get all these brackets on the fender, you're going to mount it down here. Alright, so I got the rear fenders on. These were a lot more difficult to install than I thought they would be. I did have to remove the wheels and tires. Just pulled this off because those are impossible to get to. And you have to kind of align everything and tighten everything up, including the bolts under here. And so it was just easier to take this tire and wheel off and then get the fender on, make all the adjustments, put the wheel back on. So did the same on both sides. So now I have brakes left to do. I have the seat and seat post. I have the pedals. Got some reflectors. I have to hook up the front brakes, put on the handlebars, and that looks like that's going to be it. Oh, and the basket. There's a big basket that sits back here. So, yeah, so moving right along. According to the instructions, which I will tell you, these things are pretty worthless. Other than just a guide of like what step you should do next, these photos absolutely suck. You can't see any of the details in these photos, but it kind of gives you a rough guide as far as, you know. Now we're going to put the handlebars on. Alright, so we're going to take this off here to expose this. Drop that in place. Tighten this up. And it comes with some cheap tools, so I might have to adjust those and line those up a little better. Also, I need to flip these bars up. There's a little bolt here. Yeah, I put these on backwards. Okay, let's try this again. Alright, I'm sure I'm going to have to make some adjustments on it to kind of fine tune it, but they're on for now. I've got a reflector that goes on here. That's pretty exciting. I'll put that on. I'll just need to tighten that up as well. Alright, the next thing we put on is the seat. Alright, so that is a 13 millimeter right there, and I tightened that down. I'm sure I'm going to have to make some adjustments on it, but then it just slides the seat post into here, and then you just have to tighten this up. So again, I'm going to have to fine tune this once my wife gets on it, just so it's all adjusted for her liking. Now the next step, I need to put the pedals on, and they come wrapped up in here. One's got an R on it, the other one has an L, and you just match it up on the crank. This one's got the R, the other side has the L, so just slide these on and put them on. Alright, that's a 15 millimeter on that pedal. Make that nice and tight here. You don't want to over tighten it, but you also don't want these things to fall off. Alright, I got to do the other side. Alright, and then again, got that pedal on there. So now the next thing to do is to hook up the brakes. Alright, so you're just going to use this little Allen wrench that they include. Going to loosen up those brake pads. So, because when you install this, you need to line up the pad with the rim. Then I'll tighten that down, and then this clips into this, and so I'll try and film that as well. So we'll get these front brakes going here. So for the front brake, you want to line up all these little slots here so you can put the cable through. And then you pull this, and then this little connector here drops out. And just need to feed the wire through all this. I don't have that gapped right. There we go. Alright. Then you can adjust this. I'm going to hook these back up down here. Alright. And then I just need to pull this together and run this through here. Alright, so now I'm doing the rear brake. I did flip the Trike over. I hope I didn't ding up that fender too bad, but I flipped it over. There's a spring that comes with it, and it goes in here. Well, it goes in here somehow. Like that, and like that. And then the cable, you run through here, and through here. You can see the little hole in that screw. So you just run it through like that. Pull the cable tight. And then tighten this back up. And I'll grab a wrench to make sure that gets nice and tight here. But then that's the rear brake, and then all I have left to do is put the basket on it. So all I've got left to do now is to assemble the basket and attach that. So this piece is the bottom. It's got the little bent ends here that bend up, and then it also has the little, I don't know what these are, eye hooks. I don't know. Anyway, I'm setting it on a little block of wood just to raise it up a little bit, because you have to assemble this stuff, and these go through like that. And I need to do it on both ends, and then there's some pieces that go over here. So I'm going to grab the other one. Alright, so after trying to put this together a few times, I became incredibly frustrated. They just kept falling out and off and just not staying connected. And then once you get them connected, there's these little metal straps. They call them sheets. You have to kind of loop it around the edges. I will show you what it looks like after Matt put it together, because I just became ridiculously frustrated with this. And then there I am taking it out for a test ride just to make sure everything felt right, and that the chain was lined up right, and I just wanted to make sure that it was going to be fine before my wife got on it. And then there she is riding it. We took it out around probably 5 or 6 blocks on the first day. So she's just really excited about this and having this bike, having this Trike, and being able to get out and be more mobile and get more exercise. And we've gone out almost every day now for some type of a ride, whether it's a few blocks or several blocks, but we have gotten out and about on this pretty regularly.
All right, and then there we are. I'm riding her bike, and she's behind me on the trike. So that was the first ride we took it out on. So, and again, she's incredibly happy with this. All right, there's that little metal clip, and they are all over on here, corners and stuff. And then Matt also bent in those little metal things that drop down into the, I guess it's like an eye hook. But yeah, he assembled it because I became way too frustrated trying to keep the basket together and put those little metal pieces and bend them. As far as attaching it to the trike itself, it's got 2 metal strips, and then there were 4 bolts that ran into that frame. And so it seems like it's a pretty sturdy basket that's on here. And there it is, all finished and assembled, and that is what it looks like. Again, we're pretty happy with it so far.
Alright, so I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'd like to thank you for watching The Garage USA. I'm Jonathan Brinke, and I'll see you next time.